The land looked solid, flat, untouched, and safe. But beneath the surface, it was a deadly trap. A thick, hungry swamp waited silently, ready to swallow anything that dared to step onto it. Unfortunately, a lone deer had wandered too far and stepped into the sinking mud. It struggled, kicking and thrashing, but every movement only pulled it deeper. Its terrified cries echoed through the trees, but no one answered. The more it fought, the more the swamp tightened its grip, pulling it toward a slow and hopeless end. Then, by sheer luck, two men happened to be passing by. They stopped when they heard the deer's desperate cries. Their eyes widened in shock as they saw the animal sinking before their eyes. One of the men, who seemed experienced in such situations, quickly came up with a plan. "We have to move fast," he said. He grabbed a thick wooden plank and carefully placed it on the swampy surface. The wood wobbled slightly under his weight as he stepped onto it, but it held. His heart pounded. One wrong move, and he would suffer the same fate as the deer. Despite the danger, the men refused to leave the poor creature behind. They found a long rope and worked quickly to loop it around the deer's large antlers. The first few tries failed. The rope slipped off as the deer panicked and flailed. But after a few tense moments, they finally managed to secure it. "Hold on, buddy," one of the men muttered under his breath as they prepared to pull. They dug their heels into the ground and pulled with all their strength. The deer barely budged. The mud gripped it like a vice, refusing to let go. Their arms burned, their legs shook, but they didn't stop. The deer let out a loud, painful cry, but the men kept encouraging it. "Just a little more," one of them urged. "Come on, you can do this." The struggle felt endless, but finally they saw progress. Inch by inch, the deer moved closer to solid ground. Sweat dripped from their faces as they gave it everything they had. Then, a sudden slip. One of the men lost his footing, nearly tumbling forward. The plank wobbled dangerously beneath him. For a second, fear froze his breath. If he fell, there would be no one to save him. But he caught himself just in time. With a determined grunt, he pulled even harder, pushing through the exhaustion. And finally, the deer's front hooves broke free. The second man reached out and grabbed the deer's antlers, using all his remaining strength to yank it forward. The deer let out one last powerful push, its entire body trembling. With a loud squelch, it tore free from the swamp's grip. For a moment, the deer stood there, panting heavily, its legs shaking from exhaustion and fear. Then, without a second thought, it bolted into the forest, disappearing into the shadows. The two men stood there, breathing heavily, watching as the deer vanished. One of them let out a tired chuckle. "Not even a thank you, huh?" The other just smiled, wiping the sweat from his brow. "Doesn't matter. We did the right thing." As they gathered their things, the swamp sat there, silent once more, waiting for its next victim.